Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a manga collecting guide. Now, I know plenty of these exist, and admittedly I've never seen one before, but I've been reflecting a lot on my collection recently. I've been collecting manga for 5 years now, and I feel like I'm experienced enough to offer some advice to collectors, more specifically to new collectors of manga, and I'd really like to give some insight on how I collect manga, and hopefully if you're a collector, you'll learn something new. So we're going to be going over 3 major topics. First, we're just going to be doing some general advice. Then I'm going to be talking about the best ways to buy used manga, the best ways to buy new manga. So when you're first starting to collect manga, obviously the first question is, what manga are you going to buy? And here is my first bit of advice. Find out what manga you're going to buy. Don't just go out and buy whatever you see. This is a problem a lot of people have. It's a problem I had for a while, where I would just buy everything. Every time a new series would come out, I would buy it. Every time I saw this big popular series, I would buy it, without actually knowing anything about this series, without reading up on it, without figuring out if I'd actually like it. And this led to quite a few problems, because there would be times that I would spend a lot of money on a series, get the whole thing, and end up hating it. Oh yes, I'm still salty about that. So yeah, figure out what your tastes are, do research, maybe look up some spoiler-free reviews, and figure out if this is a series you're going to want to own. But again, that won't guarantee that you'll like a series, so what I would recommend is maybe just buy a volume or two, or check out some of the chapters online. Most manga publishers offer like the first chapter of their manga for free, and just check it out, get a feel for it. If you just start buying stuff randomly, you're probably going to regret it later on. Now, of course, buying things costs money. Manga costs money. It's a very expensive hobby. I'm going to be going over ways to save money later on, but the important thing is that you don't want collecting manga to take over your life, okay? There was a time where manga was all I would buy, and at the time, that was fine, because I was a kid. I didn't have any other responsibilities, there's nothing else to spend manga on. When you have responsibilities, it's really important that you pace yourself and you create like a budget. Say, hey, every month when I get my paycheck, I'll set aside this amount of money into the manga fund, and I can buy some manga with it. You just don't want this hobby to go too crazy, and it's very easy for that to happen. Manga also takes up a lot of space, so if you're planning on buying a lot of stuff, make sure you have room for it. It's not really fun if all the cool new manga you bought is just on your floor stacked up in piles. Also, don't let things you don't like pile up. Sell them. Get rid of them. I know it can be a bit disheartening to go from like 500 volumes to 400 volumes. You're like, oh man, that's a big blow. But trust me, getting rid of series you don't want feels awesome. And if you sell it for a good price, you can then use that money to buy better manga. I recently just sold all of Naruto, like all 3 box sets, for $300. Took out a huge chunk of my collection, 72 volumes, but it felt great. Not only did I get rid of a series I didn't really care about, but I made lots of money, and I was able to give the series to someone who hopefully will end up really enjoying it. Alright, so you set some money aside, you figured out what you want to buy, how are you gonna do it? The cheapest way to buy manga, and almost anything for that matter, would be to buy it used. Now, there are many ways to go about buying used manga. Probably the most popular would be sites like eBay, where people sell their manga online. You can go bid on it in an auction or just straight up buy it. You can find a ton of series there, lots of stuff for super cheap, popular stuff, old out of print stuff. But there's a problem with eBay that no one ever talks about, and it makes me so sad. In fact, this is a problem that a lot of manga collectors experience that a lot of people don't really talk about. This hobby is very dependent on your geographical location. For example, I don't use eBay. I've never used eBay because I live on a tiny island, and shipping costs from the States and other parts of Canada are fucking ridiculous. It's the same for other countries too, all over Europe, smaller countries with smaller populations. Not everyone can easily access some of these sites. So what else can you do? Well, thankfully, there's a bunch of other options you have as well to buy used manga. The most obvious one is probably going to a used bookstore. Okay, these are all over the place, and all the ones I've been to have had some sort of manga section. You can get stuff there for very, very cheap. If you've never been to a used bookstore near you, I would highly recommend just checking it out and see if they have anything. Another good place to find used manga is comic shops. The local one here has a massive bargain bin full of manga. I'm sure most of you know that is where I found all of my Osamu Tezuka stuff. I got volumes of Phoenix hardcover covers of Blackjack and Buddha, which all go for hundreds of dollars online, all for single-digit values, just because I bothered to go in and look around. If you're out and about and you pass by one of these stores, it never hurts to just pop your head in and look around to see if you can find something good.
Hey, let's go, Kinkatsu!
Another great way of buying used manga is through local sellers, and that's what I've relied on through all these years collecting. If you're in Canada, you have sites like Kijiji, and in the States you have Craigslist. Other places have different equivalents where you can post ads online and then you can buy things locally. If you live in a decently populated area, I would highly recommend checking these places very often. And I live in a relatively small city of like 200,000 people. People are always selling manga online, and often for very cheap prices. It's also a bit safer and more reassuring than using something like eBay, because in this case it's a physical sale. Like, you go to someone's house, you get their manga, you give them the money. Like, the risk of getting scammed is much, much lower. So yeah, all of these methods are very efficient ways of getting used manga. The problem though is that you have to rely on luck quite a bit. There's no guarantee that you'll ever find something you really want used. I've gotten some amazing deals, gotten stuff like One Piece, Dragon Ball, Death Note for super, super cheap, but you really can't expect that this will happen to you too. I just got really lucky in these cases. And the other thing with used manga is that if you're looking for brand new stuff, like most people who are collecting manga, then it's not really the best way to go. So how does one go about buying new manga? Well, I think pretty much everyone knows my first piece of advice, which is to don't buy shit at retailers. You go into a store, you buy a volume of manga, you get a slap on the wrist. Unless there is a sale, there is really no good reason to buy manga in a physical store. It kind of sucks because I really like going into the bookstores and just looking around, and oftentimes I'm flipping through a volume, I'm really tempted to buy it right there, but I have to stop myself. Because on pretty much any online site that sells books, you will find the same stuff you'll find at the bookstore for a discounted price. It might only be $1 or $2 on a single manga volume. Once things get more expensive, the discount is more significant. But if you're buying a lot of manga, ordering things online is 100% the way to go. But where would you go to buy things online? Again, it really depends heavily on your geographical location. There are a lot of online stores that sell manga. Probably the most universal is Amazon, which I'm pretty sure every country has access to. If you're in the United States, you have a lot more options. You have stuff like Barnes & Noble, Right Stuff, Book Depository, all good sites for buying manga. I'm sure they have their pros and cons. I don't know, I've never used them. You see, the thing with this is you're really going to need to do your research and ask around where the best place to buy manga is in your country, because it's different in many parts of the world. But when you're choosing a site, you want to prioritize discounts, okay? Most of these manga across all the sites have the same discounts. Like, I don't think you'll ever find a store where some manga is significantly cheaper than the other on a normal day. But for example, in Canada, I use Indigo, which I've been using from the beginning. I've never had a problem with them. On Indigo, on orders above $25, I get free shipping, so that's not a problem at all. I also get rewards points, which is a big bonus for me, because when I'm buying a lot of books often, I build up rewards points fairly quickly, which after a few orders, I can then exchange into real money and get a pretty sizable discount on my order. Another thing you have to keep in mind with online stores is that they have sales all the time, especially on manga. It's very common to see these stores have like 25% off on all manga, Viz Media, buy two, get one free. These things happen all the time, and I would recommend that you anticipate these sales and you plan ahead for them. For example, I'm several volumes behind on Magi and My Hero Academia, and I would like to catch up, but instead of spending about $12 on each volume individually to catch up, I would much rather wait for the next Viz sale, where I can just get a bunch of them really quick and for super cheap. Sales are also a great way to pick up, some more expensive volumes that you might not normally buy. Stuff like omnibus releases, box sets, yen press singles, which are super fucking expensive. I usually only buy those on sale. Now, you don't have to spend all your time waiting for sales, and you can buy new things as they come out. I do that all the time. But I really think it is worthwhile that if you're eyeing this whole series that you'll want to buy all at once, might want to wait for a sale, because it could go a long way in saving you some money. Let's fight love. Speaking of money, if you are an avid manga collector, or just buy things online in general, and you don't have the Chrome extension Honey, you're whack. You've probably heard of Honey. You know, a lot of big YouTubers get paid to talk about it. I wish I was getting paid to talk about it, but I'm here to just tell you that it's a fucking amazing service, and you should really use it if you're buying things online. Honey is a free browser extension, and how it works is that whenever you go to a checkout in an online store, it will automatically activate and it will scan the internet for coupon codes. Just any coupon codes that exist, it will apply them to your order. It worked for pretty much any site I tried. I tried, Book Depository, Right Stuff, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Indigo. They all had coupon codes available. So even if your discount is significant, there's really no reason not to use it. And when I ordered new manga today for my next haul, I saved $13. And I thought to myself, I've been using Honey for so long, I must have saved hundreds of dollars by now. It's really a must when you're buying things online. There's no good reason not to use it. I would highly recommend installing it right away.
Let's fight love.
My final piece of advice is to learn about the industry. Know what's available and know what to expect. You want to buy Death Note? Well, you can get the singles, you can get the box set, you can get the 2-in-1 black editions, you can get the all-in-one. Learn about all of these products. Figure out what they offer. Figure out what's the best for you and what's most cost effective. And follow all of these publishers on social media. Learn about what they're putting out there. If you want to buy a series, check to see if there's any new special editions coming out, if there's box sets coming out. And also know when to expect these things. I saw an Assassination Classroom box set coming a mile away. It just made the most perfect amount of sense. 21 volumes, the perfect size for a box set. The series has been over for a while now. The anime's after ending. The popularity has died down quite a bit. I'm sure the single sales were quite low now. So it just makes perfect sense for them to release a box set. And oh my god, I sold all of my Assassination Classroom volumes recently. I got a really good price for it. If I were them, I would have haggled it quite a bit lower, but I'm not complaining. Anyway, a couple days later, they announced the box set, and I was just like, oh man, that poor guy I just sold them to. Holy shit. So, if there's ever a series like Assassination Classroom where it really makes sense for them to do a special edition or a box set, you might want to wait just a bit to see what happens. Another example would be Tokyo Ghoul Re, right? They have the Tokyo Ghoul box set out right now. It would really be in their best interest to also do a Tokyo Ghoul Re box set because there's probably lots and lots of customers who aren't buying Tokyo Ghoul Re right now because they're expecting a box set. And I think it's highly likely that shortly after Tokyo Ghoul Re ends, they will also compile that into a box set. But here's the thing, you also have to know when to not expect these things. I see a lot of people waiting on series like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, series that are definitely going to go on for quite a while and will probably have box sets in the future. But here's the thing, if you're expecting Viz to make a My Hero box set right as Volume 21 comes out, you will be very, very disappointed. In fact, it would be a pretty awful business decision for Viz to do that. Why? Because singles make more money than box sets, right? Someone buying 20 individual volumes will make Viz a lot more money than someone buying a box set. So they really only do box sets when the sales of the single volumes aren't as strong. You look at literally any example. When the One Piece box sets came out, there was a shitload of volumes out. No one was buying One Piece because they didn't want to get into it. They didn't want to spend money on all of these volumes. So they gave it a box set and boom, no problem. Something like Claymore or Bakuman or even now Assassination Classroom, it's over, it's dead, there's no hype for the series anymore. Let's release a box set and now everyone's buying it. Stuff like My Hero and Black Clover are extremely popular, some of their best-selling series, and until the sales start to slow down, they're not going to release a box set. So if you really want one of these series and you are waiting, I'd just say go for it. I'm sure we will eventually get box sets for these series, but it is going to be quite a while. So those are my manga collecting tips. If you're a new manga collector, or even if you've been collecting for a while, I really hope this was valuable and you learned something from it. If there are any good tips that I missed, feel free to share them in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next video.
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-chingery. Money, oh money, how I love thee. Cha-ching, cha-chong, cha-changaroo. From pennies to dollars, any amount will do. Cha-ching, cha-ching, it's no contest. There's only one thing that I love the best.